Hello, Houston. Dallas has a problem. First round fantasy fans, welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for second round advice. Welcome in and welcome to my colleagues, Damon Ricks, Justin Morsaz, Joseph Morsaz, and I'm your host, Gabriel Maramontes. We're missing the lead man tonight, Jacob Bartley. He's got some things he needs to discuss. I'm guessing he probably lost majorly in a couple of leagues. He just didn't want to be here tonight. Show his face, talk about his full gold picks and dark horses and all of that nonsense. Anyways, we are here. We're dedicated. Just kidding, Jacob. Don't take that the wrong way. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Justin's doing good.
I know he's doing pretty good.
The two worst beats I ever seen somebody get, but he was on the good end of that in 2 leagues. My God.
Were you on the receiving end of those, Joe? Or
I was on one of them. On that Drake 70-yard touchdown for him to beat me by 2 points.
Oh,
crazy.
Haters, I started you every week.
Crazy.
That is true. People did sit him.
dude, I sat Drake over Edmonds.
Oh,
Wow.
Silly.
Guys,
It's
I went
Drake's
out.
team, man.
I went out and I said last episode that Edmonds takes the reins tonight on Monday Night Football, and Justin was like, "No, Gabe, I don't think so." And guess what? Joe was right, man. I think we even had to book it down. Matter of fact, I got the book it down tracker here. I think we can rest a few after that. Let's see here. Yes, Drake or Edmonds in week 6. Well, Jacob and me took Edmonds, and of course, Justin and Damon took Drake. So that was an easy one. That has been decided. However, we do have another one. Ayuk for the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver, over or under 13 fantasy points in week 6. Damon and Jacob said over. Justin and I said under. Guess what? He had about 11. So
Yeah, but ours was like reasonable. Yours is absurd.
get out of
I
here.
said he had 9.2, not 11.
Exactly.
No,
even better.
he did
Helps our
good.
case even more. No, Ayuk didn't do that great. It was
yeah.
Deebo Samuel.
Yeah,
Yeah, Debo was beasting.
2 catches, 12 yards.
Hey, I started him and I won that league, so he did good for me.
He's wild. Touchdowns.
Yeah,
Well-
you lost by 2 points, Joe. Be quiet.
Yeah.
We can't spend all day talking about our personal leagues. If you've made it so far into the podcast already, again, thank you for joining. We got a hot show for you guys today. And I take some hot takes, as noted earlier. They're not always the best, but you know what? We go down fighting and we come back stronger than ever, I guess. I don't know what to say. Let's talk about some injuries, all right, folks?
What the fuck?
Oh my goodness. Actually, before we get into injuries, guys, I want to bring up a quick question. I say that at the beginning in the intro, Houston, Dallas has a problem. How concerned are you with week 1 of the Andy Dalton experience in Dallas? And are you nervous about your Cooper, Lamb, Gallup shares in any shape or form?
Well, of course you need to temper your expectations. I think we all needed to temper them. To be honest, for how bad of a game that was, I was pleasantly surprised. Amari Cooper had 20. Lamb on obviously PPR 10 yards per point. Lamb had like almost 14 points. I think I don't know what Gallup did. I didn't have him on any of my leagues, but those two did good.
You didn't do great.
They didn't do great, but that was such a bad game. And like you said, Lamb got targets, Cooper got the touchdown, and Gallup was getting the red zone targets. Like they tried to throw that fade route like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't feel bad. You still start them.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Go ahead, Kristen.
My bad. It's going to be lower, but they suck. So they're going to be playing catch up every single week.
Yeah,
every week we say they had a bad game. That's who they are. They just can't stop. So they'll still throw it up and they'll get theirs, but not like Dak was doing.
If you had to trade one, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper, who are you trading?
Gallup. It's not even close.
If I can get something better for Cooper.
Yeah, honestly, I would sell high Cooper right now. Andy Dalton was a target hog today. He totally obliterated him with targets. So that's a good sign. But I don't know, man. The Cardinals came in with 1 turnover all season. They picked off, Elliott for 2, and then they had 2 interceptions, I think. So it was just an awful night, and I don't think they were the greatest defense. So I don't know.
I just think Dalton's going to lean on his vet, man. I get the sentiment of selling Cooper, but right now people are not buying. I had him last week, and I kind of was fielding offers because I was like, man, Dalton's coming in. Maybe I could get something from somebody who likes Cooper, and people aren't paying much. So I don't think you're going to get much better than what he's going to give you.
That's fair.
Yeah, that is most certainly true. So, well, that's because when you get shaked down by you or Justin every week on trades, you just tend to not trade people anymore. So there's probably a few of you around in all of these fantasy leagues. I don't want to talk about it. Some of us are obviously butthurt. Let's get into injuries.
He needs some milk.
These guys need some milk indeed, most notably the entire Philadelphia Eagles team. Miles Sanders takes it back, expected to miss at least a week with a knee. It's a shame, though. He was on that 74-yard scamper and didn't end pretty for him. Fumbled the ball, busted his knee on the same play. Not good. His teammate, Zach Ertz. You know what? I kind of think Zach Ertz needed this. I will never wish an injury on anyone, but he's likely to see the IR, miss about 3 weeks. I'm hoping he comes back better than ever, man, because this fantasy season was off to a not so interesting start for Zach Ertz. So I wish him the best. Hope he gets back stronger than ever. Let's see here. Baker Mayfield. Do you guys think he was actually taken out because he was injured, or do you think he was just poorly playing?
Yeah. He was
Poorly
just
playing?
awful. It was awful, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Something to keep an eye on.
That was one of those. Let's see what Case Keenum can do.
We're not gonna bench him though. That was just like a coach trick.
That was a protect your star quarterback. That's not really a star.
Yeah, he was so awful, and that defense
Kind of
was
like Kirk Cousin. Yeah, same thing.
exactly. Let's see. Mark Ingram also found himself on the injured reserve, not injured reserve, but on the injury list. I think he exited in the second half of that game. He's expected to be okay, but that backfield, man, scares me.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Devontae Parker seems to find himself on this list every single week. And a newcomer to the every single week list is Raheem Mostert, also likely to go on IR, which is just sad news coming from the Mostert owner as myself. Oh man, that hurt my heart. Would you guys? I'm asking openly. I know we don't talk about our public leagues, but would you trade? I'm trading Mostert in pick 6. So if you guys any offers, I'm willing to.
I sent you one. I sent him Scary Terry for Mostert. And listen, I've got
that's a fair trade.
And listen, his two wide receivers are Cooper Kupp and who's the other guy? Galladay. And after that, it falls off hard. So
that is the best offer you'll ever get, I think, for that.
And listen, I've got the depth, so I said, what the hell? McLaurin's on my bench. He's stapled to my bench right now because I have such a good team, and I'm about to be in first place or tied for first place. So I just figured, why not take a risk? If Mostert comes back, great. If not, no worries.
Well, you know what? I feel bad saying that because now the viewers know how horrible I am, and I just showed my true colors in trade talks. So again, sucks for Raheem Mostert owners. Hope you can deal with it. Any other injuries I forgot, guys?
Nothing that I can think of. Yeah.
We're moving quick today, folks. Let's go to the waiver wire.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological. Just got to stay in a positive frame of mind.
So the two most notable players that come to mind, well, actually, not necessarily the two most notable, but I mentioned Miles Sanders. I don't know if anybody wants to spend that waiver wire priority on Boston Scott after how bad he burned fantasy owners a couple of weeks ago when Miles Sanders missed a game. Corey Clement is also there. Again, are you guys showing any interest in those? Maybe if you're running back depleted, but what are you guys thinking? Justin's nodding his head. What do you feel, Justin?
I would for sure spend on Boston Scott because with bye weeks, with injuries, I mean, he's going to get run, and you just hope he gets that PPR points that he was doing last year. definitely. As far as Clement, I'm not sure yet, but Scott's someone I would definitely try to get if I'm in need of a running back as these bye weeks come through.
Yeah, and they're playing the Giants. So as far as dude, right now it's rough. Eckler out, Cook out. Teams are going on bye week. You just lost Mostert. I mean, it is CMC still out. It's slim pickings out there, man. You got the Rams backfield. Like 1 week Henderson's the man. The next week they don't play him. Like it sucks. Yeah. So Boston Scott on a Thursday night game against the New York Football Giants. I think you can do worse. I expect him, if you're in PPR, if you're in a standard league, don't touch him. But if you're in PPR, I expect him to have 5, 6, 7 catches and hopefully get you 10, 12 points. Maybe a touchdown.
A lot of the times with this, with the waiver wire, though, you can't just pick up a Boston Scott and you always have to drop somebody. So you have to see, is a Boston Scott worth a Brandon Ayuk on your bench, or a couple weeks ago, a Brandon Cooks? Like, say you just needed an RB and you pick up Boston Scott and you drop Brandon Cooks, you're going to be upset with yourself the next week. So, I mean, he wouldn't be worth it, like a pickup for me if I had to drop anybody.
Yeah, it just depends, man. If you need, I'm in a league where I just lost Mostert. I haven't been able to get Le'Veon Bell. I've got some other guys down. CMC still out. I'm like, 1 week I had to start Leonard Fournette. Bro, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm throwing in warm bodies at running back. So luckily I just got a good trade for DeAndre Swift. But if I didn't have that, what am I doing? I'm throwing in Clyde Edwards and I'm trying to get somebody off the waiver wire, maybe a Boston Scott. What can you do?
Talk about throwing out warm bodies out there, man. I think I threw I did not know I owned the entire Saints team in one of the leagues. I think it's Beer Drinkers.
Yeah.
Man, dude, when I saw I had 4 players on bye and they were all on the same team, I had no idea my lineup looked so awful without them in it. So
yeah,
my 4-1 start in that league is starting to look not so impressive. I'm very scared for my life.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got another wide receiver really quick to throw out there. He was someone that we barely touched on last week, and I think Justin saved the day by mentioning him and throwing his name out there. Well, guess what? He's still out there in a lot of leagues, and with Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz both missing time, Travis Fulgham is a guy you need to keep your eye on because it's 3 games now where he's had 12-plus fantasy points or more, and in one of those games he had exploded for 30 points. Again, they have the Thursday night matchup with New York, with the New York Giants, and they're beatable in the air. And I know Wentz hasn't been himself lately, but if there's ever a time to get it right, it's against the New York Giants on Thursday night football.
I thought you had a similar one to me. I was going to say Deshaun Jackson because he's supposed to be coming back next week.
Is he coming back, dude?
He is him and Dallas Goedert are both expected to be back, which were also waiver wire ads for me as well, or at least mentions on me.
Well, Dallas Goedert for sure, but I can't trust Deshaun Jackson, man. He plays one play, injures his groin, he's out for 3 weeks. It's just so rough, man. But I've got actually another guy on the waiver wire, and this week actually has been the most challenging waiver wire week, I think, for most of our leagues. At least there's always been kind of a clear cut. Go out and get that guy. Last week was Claypool. The week before was somebody else. This week I don't see a ton, but one guy I do like that. Again, if you need a warm body, Gus Edwards, because Mark Ingram is hurt, right? We don't know the extent of it. They're saying it's not serious, but when you're dealing with vets, you never know. I know that they are going into a bye week this week, but it might not be a bad guy to just get situated on your bench because it looks like he's getting the primary workload when Ingram's out.
Yeah, I know it looks like we're just reading off a prompter or something sometimes. Wait, no, we're not. We're so off script. But we say this a lot, that the running back field is thinner than it's ever been. So someone like Gus Edwards is a very nice pickup. And, maybe even worth the stash, even on a bye week.
Yeah.
I want to briefly go back to that Fulgham. If you're starting somebody this week from Philadelphia, are you starting Fulgham, Dallas Goedert, or Deshaun Jackson? As a Zach Ertz owner, I mean, I'm picking up Goddard and hoping he comes out strong. So I'm probably going to cool off Fulgham, but when he's the only option there, I don't know.
Yeah, probably Fulgham. And like daily fantasy, probably Jackson.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of daily fantasy, I took my first dive into DFS, guys. What the hell is that?
Dude,
I
it's way
took
too random.
butt whooping, bro. Like the value they have for some of these players. Oh my gosh. I did not know what I was doing, but
Bro,
we are
it's
definitely
way
coming up
too
with
random.
we are
What's
coming
random
up
about
with
it?
DFS.
Dude, it's the guy that put in Drake and Jefferson. You know, it's just random as hell. Like, who else? Ryan Tannehill has 42. Like, you went out and got Ryan Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, and what's his name?
Knowing they were
I
going to be
just said it.
superb matchups.
Jefferson.
Sure. Yeah.
Jefferson, and you win. That's it. You win. And the guy that has Zeke and Hopkins, and Aaron Rodgers, they bust. You know, it's just random, man.
That's how it is in all the leagues, though.
Yeah, but it's about
is,
value,
but-
though. Yeah.
That's
okay.
true. That's how it is in most fantasy leagues, not just DFS. Justin's got a good
Yeah.
point.
And they have snake drafts now.
Do they? I've never
Yeah.
seen snake
Yeah,
drafts. I
snake
always
draft.
thought
It's
that
like a
was
six.
money.
It's like a 6-man snake draft.
Oh,
man.
interesting.
It was hard, guys. I did an auction draft. I was like, $50,000. That's so much. And then it's like, no, it's not. We're not a DFS show, although I'm thinking about mixing something like that into the show one of these days. But Justin, I know you haven't gotten a chance to talk about a waiver wire pickup. You got one for us?
I got a lot. You know me. I always have a lot. But
Should we go to Damon first?
no, I'll make it quick. If he's still not rostered in a lot of leagues, and he definitely needs to be picked up, it's J.D. McKissick. He's a PPR monster. He plays behind Gibson. That team sucks. They always have to chuck it down. 8 attempts, 41 yards, and nice receiving. Ended with 14.5. Love him. Awesome in this waiver wire injured running back pool. And then my boy Tim Patrick. Love him as wide receiver. He's just the guy over there, and everyone loves Judy, the rookie, but this guy has been doing it the past 3 or 4 weeks.
He was definitely the last guy that I was going to throw out there. I think that's a solid pick, and especially with the Broncos schedule. It opens up, and I think they're going to have some pretty tasty matchups in the future. So hopefully that means well or bodes well for Tim Patrick. Any other ones, guys? Are we good on waiver wires?
Yeah.
Joe mentioned it at the start of the segment, man. I mean, it's just one of those weeks. You're not going to have every single week in and week out. There's not going to be that 1 or 2 guys that you're just gunning for. There are going to be weeks where there are duds on the waiver wires, but you know what? We're getting into the thick of bye weeks now for the next 5 or 6 weeks, and it becomes ever so more important to just keep your eye on guys that, hey, might have a flash of point value or fantasy value of any sort, because that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But today, we are moving on. First round fantasies, dark horses of the week. Let's go ahead and review. Joe, you were not here last week, so here's your time to shine. Who was your dark horse of the week last week? Just go ahead. Just pick anyone. Just lie to us.
Oh, it was Justin Jefferson, man. For
Dude,
sure.
great.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Joe was not here. He doesn't count this week. Damon was. And you know what? He went with the trend of you got to pick TY.
That was
TY will.
Hey, we've all had him, Damon. Don't worry. We've all had him.
Hey,
You and Joe have had him, and Justin and I are smart
I'm
enough
done.
to get away.
Hey, listen, in his defense, he caught a touchdown, but there was a penalty and it got taken back. So it looks much worse than it – I mean, it's still bad, but it's not.
I think even with the touchdown, he might have only had 9 points. Like,
Yeah, he was still under.
And in a game where Phillip Rivers threw 3 touchdowns and probably has his best game as a Colt, TY doesn't see any of that action. It hurts to see, man. It hurts to see. So, sorry, Damon. I'm not going to say your current score right now, but maybe I'll give you a week to boost it up.
Yeah. Let me
Give you one. Let's see. Jacob. Oh, man. What a clutch guy. He chose DeAndre Swift, and the guy rocked the fantasy world by storm.
He did.
So great pickup. He's 4 for 5 on the year with his dark horse picks, by the way. Let's see. On the other hand, I mentioned it at the top of the hour. Edmonds is not the man in Arizona just yet. Give him some time, I guess. It is all Drake. Edmonds was a complete bust tonight. He may have salvaged you with like 6 or 7 points, but it wasn't anything worthy of a dark horse. So with that, I move on. It takes me to 3-4 on the year. 3-5 on the year. Yikes. And let's see, Justin clutching it up with Myles Gaskin came through with the touchdown and over 100 yards for the first time in his early season. Justin, I've included you into the segment now as a full throttle. So even when you're not here, give us what you got. Because you are now 4-5, my friend. Nice job. A couple of us looking to rebound today. Let's go ahead and start it out. Joe, I'll start with you, my man. Since you weren't here last week, you get to start us off this week. Who was your dark horse player of the week?
I had a couple names listed, but I'm going to stick with the tried and true. And I'm not sure he's a dark horse anymore because he needs to be in your lineup week in, week out, I think. But I still know people that don't believe in him. So I'm going to say Ronald Jones. He's got a matchup, a date. It's juicy. It's against the Las Vegas Raiders. And he is going to be running wild on that team. I mean, listen, guys, the Brady Bucks are good. They've got a good run defense. They run the ball. They weren't even killing it with Evans and Godwin last week, and they still won 38-10. And those guys didn't even do much. So Ronald Jones needs to be in your lineup, and he's somebody that you need to fire up week in, week out. But I'm expecting another 20. I'm going to say 17-plus point game for our leagues.
Wait, what was it? What did you say, Joe?
I said 17-plus.
17-plus? Do we have a book it down, Damon?
Yeah, that's under.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The Raiders' run D is decent.
Little Raider bias going on. I like it.
Book it down. Let's see. Ronald Jones over under 17 fantasy points.
Half point.
Wait, no.
Whoa.
Full point QBI. Get out of here. And listen, he's not even much of a he doesn't even catch many balls, but
we'll raise you full point PPR. You give us 19 fantasy points.
No. 17.
All right.
PPR. That's my break it down.
Calm it down. We got you. Damon, are you riding with me, dude? I'm saying under.
Oh, yeah, that's easy under.
Okay. I'll go over easy, obviously.
Justin, what about you?
I don't want to pick a side. That's hard. I don't like the guy, but it's going over.
What?
I mean, listen, it's the fact that you have to say it's a dark horse and you're questioning starting this guy when he's put up double digits and basically every game. It's kind of showing you who Ronald Jones has been his career, but it looks like he's finally got it going in that offense. So I hate to see it because I passed on the waiver wire for this guy, but he's been doing it. So I go over.
You know, I'll take a second and say this. I'll give you a little background on Ronald Jones. A couple of years ago when he came into the league, I will not mention this man's name, but just know that, you know, we like
your guy.
But there was a guy in one of our fantasy leagues that was so high on Ronald Jones, and we gave this guy the most shit for picking him where he did. And he didn't do anything in his first year. Coming into his second and third years, though, oh my God, like, I was excited for Ronald Jones. I was excited for him this year. Even after they acquired Leonard Fournette, I still believe that this was Ronald Jones's backfield to own. And I went and shipped him up, I think, to Damon. Damon, did I give him to you? I gave him to someone for pennies on the dollar.
I just traded him today for DJ Moore to Jacob.
Yeah. Oh.
Did you? In what league?
Dynasty.
No, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, call me first. I would have given you probably Jerry Jeudy.
I'd rather have more.
In Dynasty?
Yeah.
Moore's young, bro. He's 22.
Yeah, he's like 22
No,
years old.
he's not 22.
Yeah, he is.
Let's look it up. Let's go to the book it down. He's over 22.
Look it down, DJ Moore's age.
He's 23. He's 23. He's younger than I thought, though. He's younger than I thought. But
yeah,
interesting. Over Jerry Jeudy. Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, but we have the book it down set. Ronald Jones over under 17 fantasy points. Damon and me go under because you know what? Our Raiders are pride and true, and they got a good run defense. Justin and Joe say over. I'm good with that. I like that. That's a hell.
Guys, can I just fill you in on something? Against starting running backs this year, the Raiders have been the third worst for fantasy points.
Joe,
the
shut
third
your mouth.
Year. I'm just saying. The Panthers have been the worst. the Packers the second worst, and the Las Vegas Raiders the third.
Yeah, they're not great, but guess what? They're going to be great when they play the Patriots and Ronald Jones. So be quiet, okay?
The Patriots and Ronald Jones?
Oh.
I mean, see, look at me getting Tom Brady all mixed up. Tom Brady should have stayed where you were. Anyways, that's a solid pick, man. I like it. Let's go ahead. Justin, who is your dark horse player of the week?
I was tossed between two, but man, I don't know if it's dark horse, but Kenny Golladay is going to blow up. We picked him high. We picked him really high, hoping great things. And he hasn't done it. He had an injury, 3 decent weeks, but not that amazing, beautiful. That's why I drafted you week. They play in Atlanta, and we all know what Atlanta has against them. I'm going to say 25 plus PPR with a touchdown. Beautiful game.
Whoa.
Maybe that's kind of low. Maybe higher. He's going to blow up.
Oh. Wow.
Hey, I am not going to disagree with that. I expect big things from a man, Kenny Golladay, although he's been operating on a very limited target share. I think he had 4 targets last week or 5 targets last week and like 6 or 5 the week before. So he's not seeing the volume, but he's getting the touchdown and he's getting the yardage. So if you're buying into that, then definitely, because I think he's efficient enough to do so. So not a bad pick.
That's Kenny's MO, though, and I was talking to Jacob about it. He traded Kenny Golladay in Dynasty, or Justin Jefferson in Dynasty for Kenny Golladay. And one thing that we talk about with Kenny Golladay is go look at all of his years, and he's been good the last few years, but he had 70 receptions, 65 receptions, and this year he has 14 so far. He's not a guy that's going to kill you with a 100 reception season. He's a 5-6 catch per game kind of a guy, and you're hoping he gets a touchdown or 2 and maybe 100 yards. So he still has that boom potential, I guess, but we have yet to see him have one of those 40-point monster games that Justin's predicting right here. So we'll see.
It's happening this week, but
he's a big time baller, not a PPR guy,
Yeah.
Most definitely. Joe, I'm glad you brought up all of those points because they are so very true. That's why we have you on the show, not because of your looks. Damon, what is your dark horse player of the week, my friend?
Well, just speaking of my record, I mean, there's a reason it's bad because it's called dark horse, not bright horse. Like I pick people that shouldn't do good that that are going to do good. So that, that's why I'm not going to pick Kenny Golladay or, Mike Evans. I pick people that you might bench. And go ahead.
And so far, the viewers have been right. We should bench them.
To be fair for Justin, he set a bar for himself. Kenny Golladay needs to hit 25 or over, or Justin loses that dark horse, and that should be written down somewhere.
I don't know about that.
I
wasn't willing to take that to book it down territory.
He said he's gonna bust.
The reason I say that is because I premised it by it's not really a dark horse because you're not benching him, but he's gonna have a blow up game. So I'll stick by my word. 25. I feel good with that. It's going to be 25 plus for sure. If you want,
is he going to get a 70-yard touchdown at the end of the game to win you?
I don't have him. I wish I had him this week, but I don't. Give me that.
I'll sell him for Thielen.
No.
So
all right, come on. Give it to us.
I'm going to go with somebody that you're going to bench next week that I think is going to have a Kenny Golladay kind of game, and that's going to be John Brown. Just because he had 4 targets, 0 catches. They lost. Allen only threw for 122 yards, and then they play the Jets. So I feel like they're going to try and get their guy early targets, early catches, screens, and they're just going to blow the Jets out of the water. So if I'm deciding between that last flex, I'm going to go for John Brown.
Joe, Damon, I am so happy you said that. I've been waiting for someone to pick John Brown like every single week. And I was thinking about doing it this week, especially, man. We'll get into Fool's Gold in a little bit, but coming off of 2 straight losses now for the Buffalo Bills, they had a wake-up call after their very easy opening season schedule. So things will get difficult for them throughout the rest of the season. And obviously it started with the Kansas City Chiefs and Tennessee Titans the week before. John Brown is a sturdy pick, and I am so for it. Joe, really quick, who was yours again, bud? I got to write it down.
Ronald.
Oh, gosh, Ronald Jones. Okay.
Rojo.
Well, guys, I'm rounding us out. I think we all got some good picks today. I'm going to San Diego. I'm going running back for the San Diego Chargers. The other half, Justin Jackson. 15 for 71 last week. He also added 5 receptions through the air. He gets a Carolina defense that's bottom 10 in rush defense. I just feel like, I mean, you gotta with the thin backfield and the thin RB field, I should say. That's a primed and easy matchup. I know last week or the week before the bye, I should say, Jacob went with Josh Kelly, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about the two. And Justin Jackson just seems to be the more explosive back, and he also gets the receiving work. So in Eckler's absence and in a primetime matchup with a really poor defense, I'm loving some Justin Jackson this week. I just actually acquired him. What do you guys think about this trade? I think I traded Jacob. You said he just got him in Dynasty League, but he just traded me Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly for Damian Harris. I think I came out a winner there.
You have Eckler in that league. You killed that trade.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob, if you're listening.
I didn't. I gave him to him in a different league, and mine's only a 2 keeper, and I gave him to him. He has Eckler in this league, and I gave him to him for DeAndre Swift.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jacob's a swindler.
He's not here today, so I'm not going to talk about him behind his back. But let me talk about him behind his back for a second. I'm not going to do that. I do have 2 other guys to fall back on. That's Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, man. Each of these guys saw 10. Robert Woods saw 10 targets last night. Cooper Kupp saw 9. They're going up against the Chicago Bears defense that's arguably the best pass defense in the league. It's Monday Night Football. We've seen Jared Goff time in and time out have up and down games. He's coming off a down one. I expect him to explode at home. So hopefully you guys have one of those guys in your lineups because they got to have something going for them. The targets just didn't go there. Well, the targets went their way. The outcome just wasn't that well.
Yeah.
But, guys, we had some great dark horses, and we are mowing through today's show. Jacob's going to be proud of us. Let's get into Fool's Gold.
You are out of here. Whatever. I don't really care. I'm just going to sit this one out.
Let's go ahead and recap some Fool's Golds from last week. Yay. Let's see. Joe, again, you weren't here with us last week. Who was your Fool's Gold?
Kirk Cousins. Oh, all day.
Dude. Hey, actually, he had 29 fantasy points.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Justin talks about how bad he was. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have time to sit there and do it. I don't want to lie to you guys.
It was bad in real life, but he salvaged his day. It was an awful first for that guy.
For fantasy purposes, he was salvageable. Yes. So we appreciate you, Kirk Cousins, at least for that.
Jefferson.
Oh, my goodness. He's good.
He's really good. I was wrong.
What?
Yeah.
Who's? We had a nice book it down, and I don't know if it's already done, but we'll wait.
It's a book it down. It's a long season, but yeah.
Hold on, what was that? There's a Jefferson.
It was Ayuk and
Justin
Jefferson rest of the season. Who's better?
Oh, damn, I think I'm an Ayuk.
Yeah, I think you are too, Demont.
We're done.
Listen, Ayuk hasn't been bad. It's just Jefferson has been fucking godlike, dude. He's pushing number 1 wide receiver territory right now with the last few games.
2 good weeks. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's absurd. Damon, who was your Fool's Gold player last week? Do you remember?
I do not. I barely remember things.
I'm pretty sure you said Odell, so I'm going to keep it with Odell.
That's his Fool's Gold every week.
I don't like
him. Guys, like 3 weeks ago, we put dirt on Odell's name. I think it was in reference to one of our viewer questions talking about when do you stop starting your studs? And then Odell must have listened to our podcast, which, I mean, of course he does, man. I literally tag him in it every week. So he listens to it, and this guy's been great for fantasy the last couple of weeks. No? Where was he at, Justin? Give me how did he
last week? He got shut down 4.5 points. The week before that, 11.5, and then before that is when he blew up for the 38. So he had to play good defenses in Indiana and Pittsburgh. So I'm curious what he's going to do against Cincy and Las Vegas coming up. But it's Odell. We say sell high, don't keep.
That's fair enough. And thank you for correcting me there. I appreciate that. But in reference to Damon, your Fool's Gold player was a good one. So keep picking Odell, Damon. Keep picking Odell.
It's Odell again.
Don't pick him next time. Don't. He's gonna have a good week.
Let's see. Jacob was Brandon Cooks. I think he had a good week.
No, he had a great week.
Yeah, he went off.
Sorry. Let's see here. Changing that. And I don't know. We can debate this. I was the San Francisco wide receivers. We obviously already talked about Ayuk. He struggled. Deebo Samuel, he came out 15 fantasy points in most leagues. I think I should get a half point for that. Because I was 4 on my Fool's Gold. So do you guys give me 5 for 5?
I think you lost that bet.
Yeah, I think you lost that one too. Ayuk that was a salvageable game, and Deebo did really good. 18, 19.
He's going in double digits. The receiving court did all right.
Yeah,
that's good. They did look good. Jimmy was healthy. I wasn't expecting that, but he was mighty fine the other night. Justin, who was your Fool's Gold?
Miles Sanders, and I think I got that right.
He was
about 12 points before he went out.
Let me explain. If you watch the game, that was a garbage 12 points. He busted. I feel bad for the guy, but I was rooting for my Fool's Gold at a garbage time. He busted an 80-yarder, going to go for 85 touchdown. On the 4-yard line, he fumbled it into the end zone, and one of his wide receivers got it and got the touchdown credit. So in one of those 9 rushes, he got 80 of those 118 yards. So without that, it's 8 carries and 36 yards. I think it was a bust. I don't know.
Hey, that's just like me picking. That's just like me a couple of weeks ago when I picked Diggs and I came in here tooting my horn, but in reality, he could have had 2 touchdowns and 120 yards.
Hey, I'm just saying.
And guess what? I didn't get credit for that. I don't think you get credit for this one.
I'll let the table decide if that was a bust game for him or not. But I did say temper your expectations, but you're not sitting him. So it's all on you. You guys make the call.
I mean, I think we usually say over or above whatever Yahoo's prediction is, and that I think they had him predicted for like 16. So
okay, I give him that then.
Yeah. So okay.
Fine.
That's
right.
fair.
Take the bow. All right, guys. Well, let's get into this week's Fool's Gold. And I went last in Dark Horses, so I'll go first here in Fool's Gold players. Oh, man. Oh, Damon, this actually made me realize something. Your Fool's Gold player or your Dark Horse last week was not Odell Beckham. Or your
his Fool's Gold.
Yeah, I got it. You'll realize it here now because my Fool's Gold player this week is running back for the Chicago Bears, David Montgomery. The guy has had every opportunity. He has received the workhorse running load that you would expect for a RB1. He is putting up low-end RB2 numbers. He gets Los Angeles Rams, who are top 10 against the run. Not only that, they're coming off a horrible defeat at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. I highly doubt that they go home and they play the same way in Los Angeles. Therefore, I'm staying away from David Montgomery. You're likely starting him, but if his projection is 15 fantasy points, I mean, I don't see him even touching 10 fantasy points. He's getting the pass work too, but he's not doing anything with them. In a full PPR, he might get you 10, 11, 12 points. But if his projection this week is 15 or 16 like it was last week, I don't think he's seeing that at all. It's just not good. Although I will say that he's running back 18 on the year. So as much shade as you want to throw on David Montgomery, he's consistent enough in that he puts up bearable point numbers. He doesn't kill you weekly. I think the reason why so many people were down on him this week was because, hey, he had a great matchup and he went out and did nothing compared to what people thought he would do. Therefore, he was a bust considering the matchup he had. I'm saying the matchup he has this week isn't any better, and he didn't do great against a bad run defense. Therefore, I don't think he's going to do great against a good run defense, if that makes any sense. But still, mildly consistent. He's going to be in your lineup. I'm just saying you're not going to get what you expect. And The more I keep talking about this, guys, it's like, why did I even pick this guy as my fool's gold player? He's putting up gibberish points, but yet he's consistent enough to keep putting up gibberish points. I'm saying he's going even below what he's.
Let me ask you. You want to start David Montgomery or Singletary against the Jets next week?
Oh, that's like Singletary all the way.
Oh,
That's a bad week.
David Montgomery.
I gotta go Montgomery as well.
Singletary. So it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. And again, I prefaced, or I said that later, that he is the running back currently 18 on the year. I'm just getting more and more worried about him. And you're going to see that coming up, how just worried I am about David Montgomery. And we'll talk about him again in a minute here. Damon, let's move over to your Fool's Gold player of the week.
All right. Oh, I have honorable mention for Dark Horse that I forgot. And it's my favorite name player, Young Ho Koo. This guy is a man. 20 points as a kicker. If he's in a waiver wire, get him, guys. But
hold on, Damon. Who was the other kicker this week? He tweeted out. Oh, it was the Broncos kicker. He tweeted out a tweet that's what's his name? Brian McManus. He had 24 fantasy points. Tweeted out saying something along the lines of 97% of people didn't start me in their lineups this week. And I had 24 fantasy points. I mean, kickers, man.
Yeah, he had 6 field goals.
Yeah,
he certainly did. I am notorious for always like just punting the field goal position, whereas I always look for the punter who's kicking like Monday or Sunday night, just because I think it's fun to have some like a kicker like later in the evening. And I don't know, man. I think I got to spend more time looking at my kickers because
Young Ho.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Damon, because now I'm going for him.
Young Ho and Lutz are like having a flex spot at your kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop $100 in fab on Young Ho Koo. So Damon, try to go.
I have him.
Is that how you say it?
How do you say it?
You know the most.
It's clearly Young
Ho.
What did I say?
You said Young Who?
It's Young Ho.
It's Ho.
Yeah, he's a Young Ho.
He's a young ho who's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Well,
my
Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold is going to be your guys' waiver wire pickup, and that's going to be the Eagles running back. So Scott, Clement's going to get some run, right?
Corey,
only because they're in a good spot, but Clement's not really a north-south runner, so he's gonna, like you guys said, he's gonna have to catch 5-6 balls. But if I'm hoping for my flex spot to catch 5-6 balls, I'd rather have Darius Slayton in that game. I'd rather just throw him in there because he can actually get a long ball, 80-yard touchdown. So that's why I wouldn't bench somebody for Boston Scott per se. I'd rather play Darius Slayton. I'd rather even play Devonta Freeman.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's real fair. And that's not a bad pick at all. I wish I actually would have gone with them. Justin, what is your Fool's Gold player of the week?
We're going to go with Deebo Samuels against the Gilmore is going to be shadowing. They lost Mostert, so game plan is going to change a little bit. I just think he's going to be shut down.
You know what?
But
yeah, very true. And you know what we failed to mention, guys? Maybe because these guys are scooped up, but the waiver wire portion, I mean, with Raheem Mostert going down, most people probably still own Jerick McKinnon, but Hasty is probably a guy who's out there, and he looked really good last week on very minimal volume in his touches. He looked really good. So he might be someone worth checking just to see if he's there. I think he plays a very important role in that San Francisco 49ers offense in the next few weeks.
Can you Niner fans give some perspective? Why wasn't McKinnon getting the run when Mostert was out? Where's Jeff Wilson? Who is this Hasty guy?
Yeah, what's going on?
So
Come on, Joe.
Injured. Jeff Wilson's injured, so he's been missed the last couple of games. Obviously, Coleman's still injured. He's not expected back yet. McKinnon, dude, and I've kind of said this about him from the beginning, is that he's not a workhorse. He wasn't designed to be a workhorse. He's not built like a workhorse. We didn't bring him in to be a workhorse. So I think the idea was to keep him fresh, keep him healthy. So at the end of the game, we were up by 15? I think it was 9. We were up by 2 scores. So there was no point to run. You already lost Mostert. We already have Coleman banged up. Everybody's hurt on our team. Wilson's out. That's 3 running backs you're already down. Why throw McKinnon out there and risk an injury? It just didn't make sense. Let Hasty run. He's a young guy. I don't know much about him. I've heard the name. I know that we've had him on the practice squad for a while. And I'm not sure that I trust going out and picking him up. Listen, he looked good. You're right. I still think that McKinnon is going to get more work than him when you have to rely on it, when we need to go out and win a game. But, yeah, I mean, like if Jeff Wilson's still out, Coleman's still out, Mostert's out, pick him up. It's worth a speculative ad.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, we're going to close it out with you. Who's your Fool's Gold player of the week?
I don't even know if he's fool's gold anymore because he's such a piece of shit. But
Who is it, Joe? I couldn't hear you.
it's Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, my
I hate
God.
this guy. I drafted him in the 4th round. He comes out the first few weeks. He looks good. He has a really good first week, actually. Second and third week, I don't think he did great, but I think touchdowns saved his week. He had 25 first week. 12 the second week. Then he comes back with 17. They go on a bye week, and the last 2 weeks he gets 7. But the more concerning thing is he has 5 targets, 4 catches, 28 yards, like nothing. And then this last week, to make matters even worse, 2.6 points. He gets 4 targets. He catches the ball twice for 6 yards. Bro, like James Washington's beating him out the last few weeks. Claypool's killing him the last few weeks. And then you got Deontay Johnson, who's going to be back any minute now. Like, I'm going to be honest, I really don't trust any of them. Claypool, I trust the most just because he's such a big threat and he's such a big dude that he's an end zone target. And that's why we saw him get those 4 touchdowns that 1 week. But Juju, and watch, he's going to come out and I'm going to bench him and he's going to get 30 points. And I hope he does, but I'm not starting him until he shows it.
Yeah, you definitely can't start him until he shows it. And as probably one of my favorite players of all time in Juju Smith-Schuster, I've slowly and sadly traded away shares of Juju in multiple leagues. And my love for him is dwindling. So I for all intents and purposes, I hope he finds his way back. What I'm most likely going to do, guys, is the reason why I say this is because all rumors out there speculate that the reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Chase Claypool was because they don't intend to pay Juju Smith-Schuster, meaning he will become a free agent next year. And I told you guys this via text message. I think some of you were on that text thread. But Juju Smith-Schuster, Larry Fitzgerald, leaves Arizona, finally retires. Juju Smith-Schuster gets paired with DeAndre Hopkins in that Kyler Murray dynamic offense. He's not going to get a baller contract. It's going down.
You know why I'm going to tell you I don't see that? Because the Arizona Cardinals have a man named Christian Kirk, who we all liked coming into this year. I was a little bit lower on him. I know Justin and Jacob really liked him, and kind of the reason was because of Hopkins and
he showed out last night.
Yeah, he had 2. No, tonight. He had 2.
Well, I know, but for people watching the show,
yeah. 2 touchdowns. I mean, listen, man, he's a good player. He was drafted, I think, in the 2nd round a couple years ago, and I don't think that they're going to come out and pay another receiver when they already have Hopkins and Kirk and Andy Isabella, and they need to pay Drake, and Kyler's going to eventually have to get a contract. So, listen, I actually am going to make you very happy. You know where I think Juju goes? To the Las Vegas Raiders. He seems like a man that is destined to put on a Raiders jersey. I don't know.
Love that.
Bro, I feel it.
You don't want Juju, bro?
I said I'd love that.
Okay. I was going to say.
He's a Long Beach guy. Las Vegas is not far at all. I just see him going home to Vegas to be with John Gruden, to kind of follow in Antonio Brown's 1 week footsteps, right?
Antonio Brown didn't even leave a footprint in
but listen,
Oakland. He never stepped on the field.
But listen, he's going to do that. He's gonna ask out. I think by this trade deadline, he's in a Raiders jersey. They could use some wide receivers.
I buy a jersey.
Oh my gosh, I would buy a jersey tomorrow, and that's saying a lot because I don't buy jerseys, man. That's just too expensive.
Well, it'll be like on Wish.com, but
I like that idea. And when he forces his way out, I think he's going to make his way to New England. To be honest, another Antonio Brown stop. They need receivers. They're hurting awful over there. And
This will be the game we'll play week in and week out. Where does Juju go? So every week we'll add to the speculation, and
I can also
that'll
see
be fun
him
to talk about.
in the red and gold. To be honest, he would look.
No,
nice
you know, I could see him coming to the Niners, but the problem is that the Niners like the receivers. We like Ayuk. We like it. And listen, we're a team that gets guys that run after the catch. We're not a team that goes for the deep ball guy, and that's kind of what Juju's always been. A lot more than the dink can go after.
No, Joe, you guys go after guys that do the work for the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Samuel do all the work.
Yeah.
He can put the ball in a spot.
They definitely run after catch guys.
On a fantasy football note, with this trade speculation, don't you think he's the best buy low in the world right now? Then
listen, I'll sell him.
No, I don't want him.
I'll buy him.
I'm holding him in Dynasty. I've sold him in all my keeper leagues, but I'm holding on to him in Dynasty with the hopes that he goes somewhere.
My speculation was that Ertz was going to get traded. And when you said that this is a good thing for Ertz, I actually think it's awful because I think that had he stayed healthy, he was the candidate to end up in the Patriots. I actually loved him in the Patriots. I think Cam Newton would have liked him. I think that coach would have liked him. He would have been the next Rob Gronkowski over there.
Hey, would you trade Swift for Juju right now? You just got to yeah.
Which if in beers?
No, like you just got Swift, right? Would you trade him away to get Juju?
Hell no.
That's how low his value is.
No, Swift has all-time high value for himself. I was just going to offer if you're the Juju owner and I came with you at Chenault, would you give me Juju?
Hell no. I mean, listen, I'd rather let him ride.
Yeah.
Listen, if I needed somebody that I had to start this week, I would actually consider it. But the reality is I got 4 running backs that I like. I got 3 receivers that I like.
Will you take Tyler Boyd?
This is turning into a personal show.
Yeah.
We are moving on.
Listen, that's trade talk right there. That's how it goes.
It certainly is, and we need more of it time in and time out. But we are moving on, folks. Speaking of trade targets, let's talk about some. We spent a considerable amount of time just talking about Juju. We can continue the conversation if you'd like. I'll throw a name in there. I mentioned him earlier already, and that's David Montgomery. I get it, guys. Again, I'm selling David Montgomery.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it is this: we say this on repeat that the running back field is so thin. But I think right now is the highest you can sell David Montgomery. His schedule is beautiful. He could easily have one of the easier running back schedules in the entire league for the rest of the season. I don't think he faces a top 10 defense rush-wise.
I feel like you're making the case to buy him.
Yeah, I know. And he's also getting workhorse number 1 numbers. Like he's getting
I want to go and buy him now. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, I am selling him so high right now. I just don't think I don't know, man. There's a lot of hype in the offseason. I'll sell him to someone like Joe. I was even considering selling him for someone like Mostert, who's literally going on IR, knowing that I had the depth to do it.
What are you targeting?
That's an easy trade.
Are you looking to trade for a wide receiver? Because those situations, either you're trading laterally, you're not trading to move up unless you package. So if you're looking for a wide receiver, I like that.
I think it's hard to trade laterally when you're looking at a workhorse one. I mean, he's getting 17 touches, 18 touches a game. Like you can't go up to the Zeke owner and say, hey, he's getting 18 touches a game. Let's do a trade. Like it just doesn't work that way. So obviously I think I'm looking for a wide receiver in this situation, someone that I know that I could probably get very high upside with. That is to be determined, though. I don't know who that is.
I think you could get a decent more for him all day, honestly. I think that's an easy trade for them. More with how bad people need running backs, I think you could trade up a little bit and get a DJ Moore or I don't know. There's some other guy, maybe even Amari Cooper if the owner doesn't believe in him. Who knows?
Yeah, coming from a guy, Joe and I were just talking about this earlier today. Coming from a guy who values running, I didn't know I had 19 running backs on my roster, Joe. I don't have that many, but I do have plenty. I'm the running back order. It's what I do. But there's mine. Justin, you got to buy or sell?
Yeah, the one person I'm looking, I have two, and one of them is under the radar, but not. It's Hawkinson. Tight end is the worst. I mean, we thought it was very nice this year, and it ends up just being even worse than we've ever seen. And he's someone that's you can trade for a decent price, and he's going to be consistent, around 10 points every game. And as a tight end, I love that. And then lastly, James Robinson. If it's possible, the owner is probably so mad because they thought they struck gold and he's had some down weeks. So maybe it's time to package a deal around that guy and get yourself a RB2 for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solid one. Yeah,
you're right. Tight end is shitty.
Smart people would hold on to James Robinson, and yes, tight end is shitty. So 2 awesome picks, Justin. I appreciate it. Damon, who are you selling or buying?
I just have a sell. After watching that game tonight, I think I would sell at least like half my shares of Zeke. I would try and get I'd try and get like a James Conner and like an Amari Cooper, like 2 people I can put in my lineup for Zeke. I don't think he's not going to be in positions to feast like he normally does with that. The O-line is hurt. Andy Dalton is like pure trash.
Again, I opened the show with it. How much of a panic level are you with this Dallas Cowboys offense? And I think Damon hits it right on the spot because I would entertain a trade deal like that where I'm receiving, a guy that who we've thrown a fair amount of shade on in James Conner, and a guy like probably not Amari Cooper. I don't know if you can get that much, but definitely another solid wide receiver. That's a trade I would definitely. Yeah, that's a trade I would entertain. But Zeke's gonna Zeke, dude. Oh, and here's the trade coming through. We have Miles Sanders, Terry McLaurin, and Justin Jackson for
Zeke. I just said that. All
right, we'll keep you updated throughout the show.
We were quick. I hear he wants to sell Zeke. I've been trying to buy Zeke. Let's do it.
You work fast.
Let me counter that. The reason
that's in a league. You're not even in this league.
No. For the show. We'll talk about the trade a little bit later. Go ahead, Joe.
The reason I would tell you to keep the man is because without his 2 fumbles, both were really bad fumbles, he still ends up with a very awfully good game, if that makes sense. 18 points PPR if he didn't fumble. 16. It sucked. 16. Yeah, you're right. 16 is his worst week. 12 is his worst week. But it was an awful game start to finish. Dalton is a new QB for them to work with. Their O-line's banged up. I think he's good enough to work himself into the primetime light again. So I don't know if his glory days are behind him. I don't think so, but he's amazing still.
Yeah. So I'll jump in with my buy sell. I know we're running out of time here. I got 2 buys. Tanyan coming off an awful week, but had 2 good weeks or maybe 3 good weeks before that. And come on, man, he's best friends with Kittle. They got the same haircut. Go out and get Tanyan. I think there'll be better weeks ahead of him. And then my other one was Allen Robinson. I don't know if the owner's going to sell, but I like Robinson to maybe finish even top 5 this year. He's killing it since Foles got in there. He had 1 slightly bad game, and I still think he saw a ton of targets. So I think if you can go out and get Allen Robinson, I was looking at getting a wide receiver for Chris Carson this week, and the 2 guys I wanted were Ridley and Robinson. I ended up getting Ridley, but Robinson would have been my fallback.
Robinson is a great target. I know Damon doesn't like him for some reason, but he's a great target. And I'm probably going to work out something with somebody in one of our leagues to get Robinson. That is not a bad pick at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there are buy and sell targets. We'll keep you updated on the pending trade offer between Damon and Joe.
I'll give you Godwin instead of Terry if you want him, by the way.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you'll switch him out.
We are moving on. Guys, in the essence of time today, we are not doing keep, trade, cut. We'll pick it up next week. Let's go ahead and look at our first ever first-round fantasy podcasters league. Guys, we took the L to SGL, the Sloppy Gentlemen's League. They came out. They played hard. They played tough. We lost 145 to 133. He had the Deshaun Watson. He had Will Fuller. He had Kittle.
We had Justin Jefferson, no?
No, I thought he did, but he's on his bench.
Oh,
So even with Justin Jefferson on the bench, we lost. We only lost by what? What is that? 8?
Did we make 13? A bad start sit?
We lost by 13, and I don't think so. We started Kyler. He put up 30. Diggs, 15. Lamb could have done better.
Yeah.
Gaskins was a solid play. Jones underperformed, some would say.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
Darren Fells, hey, I don't know about you guys, but I picked him up as our tight end. He did good. James Conner did good. I mean, we had guys that did good and
just
sturdy, just not great.
Who were you deciding between starting this week? Was it Cooks and Conner?
It was Cooks and Conner, and they both put up the same amount of points. So
we all got it right then.
Yeah, we all got it right. Shout out though to SGL, the Sloppy Gentlemen's League. They are now 5-1 in the league. We dropped to 4-2. We'll look to rebound next week against the Chump to Champs podcast. Those guys, hey, I don't know if this is a weird thing to say because I've been known to say weird things on the show, but when you listen to the Chumps to Champs podcast, you got a very soothing voice to listen to, man. I feel like I'm very high-pitched when I give my show delivery. The guys at Chumps to Champs, they're laid back, they're casual, and they give you good advice. So if you ever want to peep them out, Chumps to Champs. I'm not going to talk about your fantasy record right now because it's bloody awful. But you guys do put out good content nonetheless. We'll look to beat your butts next week. Let's move on to our viewer question of the week. This one comes to us from Instagram, NFL Moneyman. I feel like that's a really good tag to have. And, this guy has it. No offense, dude, but, that's a really good name. NFL Moneyman. I like it. Over on Instagram, his question of the day is, or viewer question of the day is, how likely should you hold on to a late-round draft pick to see if they pan out? And he brings up 2 players, Antonio Gibson and Jerry Jeudy specifically. I'm guessing he has those players on his team. Those guys were
solid.
Yeah, you just keep him.
He's been solid. And as well, Jerry Jeudy, I don't really know too much about him, but we don't necessarily have to talk about these guys. We can talk about someone like – go ahead, Joe.
I like this question because I have Cam Makers in one league, and it's a redraft league, and I'm debating whether I need to drop them. Mm-hmm. Then I go to the waiver wire, and I look, and I'm like, dude, who am I going to pick up? I'm gonna drop Cam Akers, and I'm gonna pick up somebody like Hasty who's gonna or whatever. There's not much out there. Deshaun Jackson, those guys are never gonna see my lineup. So what I would say is, if you have a guy like Jerry Jeudy who's been somewhat underwhelming a few of the weeks, or Cam Akers who has yet to really do anything, if you need a guy who's going to start and you've got a LaVisca on the bench or on the waivers that you can pick up and start, go out and do it. But if you're sitting there saying, you know what, I've got Cam Akers and I'm like, shit, should I pick up Deshaun Jackson? What's the upside? Deshaun Jackson's not one of my top 4 or 5 receivers. He's never going to see my lineup. I would rather bank that maybe through the grace of God, Cam Akers finds his way onto the field as a Miles Sanders of last year. So I would say it depends. Look at your waiver wire. If you see somebody that's a can't miss, somebody drop Jerick McKinnon, go pick him up. But if not, hold your young dudes, man. And if they pan out, they pan out, and that's fantastic for your team.
Yeah, especially relative to your record too. If you're 5-0, you can wait for that Cam Akers to come
most definitely.
If you're 1-4, like Jacob, then you
got to do it.
You got to do it.
Oh man. Hey guys, speaking of Jacob, we're experiencing our first ever real tank job in pick 6. Jacob is trading away his whole team. We put money in this league, guys, and Jacob's treating it like it's a full-on organization, bro. He's complete turnover there.
It's so smart. I did it last year. I don't know if you guys remember, I traded to DeMont, Keenan Allen, Aaron Rodgers. I still ended up in second place. I stayed competitive, but I also sold. And I ended up this year coming in with, I had 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and look how much depth I have. So it's a good plan, man. It's
you're saying Jacob's just as good as you are in fantasy, if not better?
No, Oh no, I didn't say that.
No.
I just said, well, listen, I built the team overnight, and I went and I felt I wasn't going to beat Gio and Aaron last year, so I started selling. But I still maintained the guys that I wanted, and that was good enough to get me to second place. So if you could do that, if you could sell and stay competitive, awesome. Jacob, he wasn't competitive before or after the selling, so you might as well sell. That, by the way, is a cheaper league. Obviously, in a redraft, there's no point in selling, but yeah.
The truth hurts.
Fair enough. The truth hurts. Hopefully you don't hear this, Jacob. Unfortunately for Jacob, he has to go back and listen to all videos. He's our editor. So good luck with that, Jacob. You're going to take that with a grain of salt. Again, really quick, thank you, NFL Money Man. We appreciate it over on Instagram. Thank you for the question. As always, if you have a question for the show, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at First Round Fantasy or email us at firstroundfantasy at gmail.com. And last but not least, you can also now find us on Facebook. All right, Facebook at First Round Fantasy. Shoot us a question, send us a messenger. We'll be sure to get it on the show. We appreciate all the love so very much. With that being said, guys, I think that's going to do it. Anybody wearing the merch today? We got a merch shout out? Now we're all like,
comment
hey,
below.
where did you get it though, Joe? Joe, where'd you get it from?
I don't know. My girlfriend got it for my birthday. So.
Oh, damn. Well, she got it from T-Public. That's right, T-Public. You can also find First Round Fantasy merch there as well. Guess what? It's on sale. Feel free to take a look, take a peek. Buy something, man. You'll never know. It's good quality stuff, all right? With that being said, guys, we are out. That is it for tonight. Have a good rest of your week and good luck in your matches. Peace.
Take care, guys.